Remember to stay grounded. It doesn't matter how successful you become. Remember where you started. And if you really want to lead, you need to learn how to lead with humility.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
Hey, pilot, solo show. Here we are. We're here. It's ready for Pushback. You tuned in on another episode because you want a little bit of inspiration. You want a little bit of conversation. You want to expand your mind. And today we're doing that. Our conversation today is about one of the tenets of crew resource management, which is leadership. Leadership is one of the most important things that you will do as a pilot. There are a lot of things at hand, but it boils down to how well you lead. Literally, your survival could depend on your leadership. But leadership is not about standing above others and knowing that you are in charge of the plane, that you are the captain, that you are whatever. It's not about standing above others. It's about standing with them. And if you really want to lead, you need to learn how to lead with humility. And I want to talk about that. And I want to give you an example. I used to work in the Pentagon, and I was a government contractor, and I was nobody. I would sit in these meetings with all of these high-ranking generals and admirals, people that made decisions for the nation's defense. And one of the people that was usually in the room was General Jim Mattis. And this is General, the Marine Corps General, not the Secretary of Defense, General Mattis. And we were talking a lot about the Marine Corps' budget, and we'd have these meetings, and they were long meetings. He would often ask people questions throughout and was always really interested. And one day, I was walking back to my office on the 5th floor of the Pentagon on the E-ring. And the E-ring is the outermost ring of the Pentagon. And that's on one portion of that's where all the offices of the real big leadership of the Department of Defense are. If I remember correctly, I think the Secretary of Defense is on the 4th floor, and then all of the Commandant of the Marine Corps and all the muckety-mucks that run all the services, they're all on the 5th floor, right above them. And I'm walking past all of this, and in the distance, I can see General Mattis, and I can see 20 people walking with him in a gaggle. He's walking up front. Everybody's following him. That's how it goes. And we're walking up, and I say, "General, good morning." And he stops, and he looks at me, and he says, "Nick, how are you doing today?" And it blew my mind. He knew who I was. And I said, "Sir, I'm doing fine." He said, "How's Anna?" Because we had just had our first kid. And he started asking about that. And he knew it had been a couple weeks, but there was a meeting that I was in and somebody mentioned it, and he remembered. And all of these people were stopped and waiting. And General Mattis was having a conversation with me, just short, just a couple sentences. We chatted and we moved on. And I thought about that and how wild it was that A, he remembered me, but B, would care enough to ask how Anna was doing. And how many people does this guy meet a day? But he remembered. And what really stood forward was his humility and just Mad Dog Mattis, killer among killers. What an intense human. You don't want to mess with that guy. And he humbled himself to ask about my wife. And I thought, what a servant leader. And so think about that. Think about that service. He didn't command me. He served. And he was so humble about it. And he saw it. He saw that leadership as his responsibility. And it wasn't a position of power, it was an opportunity to serve others. And you can do that. I want you to focus on serving others. I want you to focus on serving your team, helping them achieve their best. And you'll find out that they will go above and beyond for you. If you're in the military right now, then I'm talking to you. If you are going to learn how to fly and you're getting your private pilot's license, I'm talking to you. Are you an airline pilot? I'm talking to you. Focus on helping your team achieve their best and listen to them. Don't start talking. Don't start rolling into what you're going to do, because a true leader that leads with humility means valuing somebody else's voice. Take time to listen to your team's ideas. What are their concerns? What's the feedback? What's the flight attendant thinking about? Because when somebody feels heard, they're going to become more engaged and they're going to be committed to sharing the vision that you have. And that's how you win. Next, don't be afraid to show that you don't have all the answers. Admit when you're wrong. Being uncertain of what you're going to do isn't a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. I always ask my first officer, if we have a big decision to make, I ask for his input first before I make a decision. It encourages honesty, and it creates that culture where learning and growth as a team are prioritized. And then I want you to empower the people around you. Because if you can enable others to succeed, you will succeed. Don't take that spotlight. Share it. Delegate the responsibility. Show that you trust your team, and they will rise to that occasion. Because when you do that, when you lead with humility, you build those other leaders around you, and you don't just have followers. How many times have you been sitting with somebody that just dictates things to you? And you just sit there and you just do what you got to do just to get through this flight, just to move on till tomorrow. That's all you got to do. That's not a leader. You are not a follower. You are just there to get it done and move on. Remember to stay grounded. It doesn't matter how successful you become. Remember where you started. It doesn't matter that you did something great. I think of Sully Sullenberger. They made movies about this guy, but he has always been down to earth. He's always been pragmatic. He lives in aviation safety. He's connected to his roots. If you see him, you want to go up and talk to him. Why? Because he's approachable, and you need to be approachable. Don't lose sight of the fact that leadership is about people. It's not about prestige. It's not about being awarded something. It's not about getting something after it. That's where leadership succeeds. Leading with humility is the mark of a true leader. And it's not about being the loudest. It's not about being the most dominant. General Mattis is a little guy. Sully Sullenberger is a little guy. But you listen to them and you want to hear what they have to say because they guide with empathy and integrity, and they've got a deep commitment to the well-being of the other people around them. And that's what real leadership looks like. And I want you to take a look at yourself and see how you can do that more. How can you grow in humility? How can you grow in listening? How can you empower others? How can you stay grounded better? How can you embrace vulnerability? So listen to your people. Listen to what they have to say and encourage them, because that is a true leader.
This is important. Before you go, you need to know that 2024 is going to be unbelievably competitive in the world of pilot hiring, and you need to make sure that you separate yourself from the herd. The only way that you can guarantee that you'll land your dream job is by partnering with Spitfire Elite Interview Consulting. We are the only choice for application review and interview prep. We are the partners that you've been looking for from start to finish, and it's never too early to be part of our community. Just go over to my website, SpitfireElite.com, and use the coupon code R4P to save yourself 10% on all of our services. Again, that's the letter R, the number 4, and the letter P to save 10%. So go out there and slay your interviews.